Welcome to Scale Tales. These are tales, stories that other founders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and subject matter experts will share about those magical moments when they scaled an entire business or perhaps a product or service line within a business. This storytelling show is designed with you in mind. The person seeking to do something extraordinary or achieve a transformational breakthrough in the business you own or the business you work for. Our goal is for you to not just be inspired by the words you hear, but to be equipped to take action. And as for me, who am I? Well, I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre. I'm the creator and producer of this show, and I'm the founder of a company called Equilibria Incorporated. Welcome to Scale Tales.
This podcast is brought to you by Equilibria Inc. Did you know you can earn PDUs from listening to this show? It's easy, accessible, and submitted directly to PMI. Keep listening to learn more.
Equilibria provides training to assist fast-growing companies to increase capacity and cash flow while operating at maximum performance. As a leader, founder, or project manager, you know all too well that chaotic work environments aren't sustainable. Visit eqbsystems.com to sign up for a free discovery call and start flowing today. eqbsystems.com. Welcome to Scale Tales, the business storytelling podcast where entrepreneurs, executives, and experts share firsthand accounts of those magical moments when they achieved something bigger than even they could have imagined. I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre, and I'm always amazed by the power of the mind. Mindset, to be exact. A positive mindset, a willingness to work smart, and a relentless pursuit for achieving customer satisfaction seems to be the hallmarks of every successful person. Yet, some achieve success bigger and faster than others. Why? Is it that they're smarter? Do they work harder? Are they luckier? You're about to hear from someone who will help answer these questions for you. This is episode 32, How Jake Smolarek Scaled a Multi-Million-Pound Construction Business with Zero Experience.
I am Jake Smolarek, life and business coach and owner of a digital marketing agency. I am currently in London, England, and this is my scale tale. It started on 19th of December 2004. I actually came to England from Poland. I am originally from Poland. When I was 19, I came to the UK with about £150 in my pockets, which is about $180, and a massive dream that I really wanted to be successful. I had no idea what being successful meant at the time, but I really wanted to have more in life. So when I came to the UK, I landed at Gatwick Airport, which is the second biggest airport in the UK. And immediately I have to spend about £39. It was about 1/4 of my fortune on a ticket to a small town. I remember that it was so scary being 19 years old, speaking communicative English, but being in a completely different country. I visited different countries before, but it was first time on my own. I was heading to a small town called Abergavenny, which is a beautiful small town in Wales, where I was about to start my first job in a restaurant. The funny thing is, when I was heading to that restaurant, I kind of knew that this restaurant was only about a 1-star restaurant. And I was thinking like, oh my God, it's only 1-star restaurant. And when I came there and I started working, I thought like, actually, it's not too bad over here. And then they have to explain it to me that, 1 Michelin star is actually not too bad. It's actually a good restaurant. When I was working at that restaurant, I kind of knew that I want to start my own business. I always wanted to work for myself. And eventually, after a few months working at that restaurant, I decided that the small town is just not enough. And I went on my journey to start my first business. I left Wales. I went to Derby, a little bit bigger town, and then from Derby I landed in London. And then I thought, yeah, London. This is the city where I want to that I belong. I was very new to London, but I straight away could see that this is the place that I want to be. Funny enough, sometimes people ask me even today, why London? London is so expensive, because that's where the money is. You know, UK it's a big economy, like it's almost over 3 trillion economy. And 1/3 of it is in London. So yeah, this is where the money is.
By now, it's 2005, and at 20 years old, Jake is still very young. He arrived in London eager to start a business, but had no idea how. That's where his ambition, drive, and sheer determination forced him to make a daring move.
I need to find someone who will help me start that business, because I knew nothing about running a business. I knew that I wanted to be financially dependent, but I didn't know where to start. So I started searching online, searching people, asking people for advice, looking for investors, looking for anyone to help me to start that journey on running your own business. And eventually I found a guy named Patrick. And Patrick invited me for a coffee in Mayfair, which is like one of the most expensive areas in London. Actually, one of the most expensive areas in the entire world.
There's an interesting story about how Jake met Patrick, but more on that later. At their first meeting, Patrick had a simple question for Jake.
What is it you actually want?
This is a very good question, because I was very vague about what I want, but I wasn't very specific. And then he said, you want to be successful? How much money do you want to earn? And I had no idea. I didn't have a number in my head. Today, as a life and business coach, I know that you need to ask tough questions. I know that you have to be very specific. But at the time, when I was 19, 20 years old, I had no clue. And I was trying to figure it out. And I said, like, I want to make, I don't know, £50,000 a year. And he looked at me, kind of laughed a little bit, but in a nice way. And he said, like,
okay, you have to start somewhere. £50,000. You have to start your own business.
And I said, yeah, I love to do that, but how do I do that? And then Patrick just looked around and he saw a scaffolding, people are repairing a building at Mayfair somewhere. And he said, like,
you have to start a construction business.
And I was like, yeah, but I know nothing about construction. How do you want me to start a business if I know zero about construction? I know how to use a hammer, but that's probably it, And he said those magical words.
Listen to me. You have to build a system. Don't build yourself a job. Build a system. Use other people to build your dream. This is how it works, Don't create yourself a job.
And I was like, okay, that's it. I just made a decision. That was probably my quickest decision in my entire life at that moment.
And just like that, Jake started a construction business. Well, at least on paper.
So the next day, I printed my first business cards. In the next week, I had my crappy first website. It wasn't the best of the best. And in the next 2 weeks, I found my first customer. Until today, I have no idea how I managed to tell this client a price, and then I doubled that price because I thought, I'm not going to have enough profit. And this guy somehow went ahead with me.
Call it luck, call it fate. But what Jake did as a 20-year-old immigrant in a new, much larger city was impressive. There's something to be said about those who only see opportunities and not obstacles.
And in the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, we did renovated a small coffee shop near Liverpool Street, a very famous train station in London. I managed to find contractors, put them all together, being kind of like a middleman. I finished that project. The client was happy, the contractor was happy, and somehow I managed to earn about £2,000, which is about $2,500. And this is how I started running my own construction business. I found another customer, and we went from doing £10,000 pounds per project, then 20,000, then 30, then 50. Then eventually I found a business partner, which was a big deal for me, because running a business on your own is one thing, but running a business with someone else, that's a completely different story. I remember when me and Alex, we hit 100K turnover one day, and I said, I think we should hit 1 million. And Alex straight away was like, oh my God, you're so crazy. You're always thinking those big dreams. And I said, yeah, but 100K and 1 million, it's only a zero difference. It's just 1 0. And it actually turns out that running a 100K construction business and running a 1 million turnover business, it's actually no difference, because the energy you spend talking to clients, talking to contractors, talking to everyone is basically just running the whole show. It takes exactly the same amount of energy on 100K and 1 million. And eventually I even find out that even 10 million is exactly the same amount of time and the same amount of energy.
Jake and his business partner, Alex, were on a roll. While Jake hit the streets of London procuring work, Alex made sure the jobs Jake sold were completed on time, within budget, and that their customers were happy. Then something unexpected happened. About 3 years after the business started, a big credit crunch happened. And just like that, Jake and Alex lost everything.
It completely wiped us out. We've been left with nothing and even more debt. I called Patrick and I said, Patrick, I'm afraid I just lost everything. And he said,
Congratulations. That's your first bankruptcy. If you go bankrupt 3 times, this means that you are a proper entrepreneur. 2 to go. Goodbye.
And I was like, oh my God, I thought he's going to be a little bit more supportive. I thought that he's going to say like, oh, poor Jake, but there was no poor Jake. If you fail, you have to start again. And I learned a failure is the wrong word. Instead of saying failure, we should say feedback, because it's all about feedback. The real failure is where you actually stop trying. But if you keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, that's not failure. That's getting some feedback and trying again.
So Jake turned what some might call a failure into feedback and started a new construction business.
And after about 6 to 12 months, we have rebuilt that business all over again. And at that time, I have systemized that business, which means I didn't really have to work on that business as much as before, because I learned that delegation is the best thing in the world. There was a moment in my life that when I was running that construction business, I had like 4 mobile phones and I was busy all the time. I was answering those phones all the time. I was on the phone all the time. If one phone wasn't ringing, the another 2 or 3 were ringing. I remember I got sick or something happened that I was just so tired. I couldn't answer any of my phones. And for about 2 days, I didn't answer any of them. And suddenly all of those phones, they went completely quiet. And then after 3 days, I started ringing everybody around. I said, hey, John, you called me 3 days ago. And he said like,
Oh, no, don't worry about it.
it's like, oh, okay. And then I called another person. Hey, Bob, you called me about 2 days ago. What's going on? How can I help you?
Oh, no, don't worry about it. Oh, don't worry about it. It's already sorted out.
And I learned that like, you don't have to be busy all the time. The thing when running your own business, it's all about to be productive. Delegation is one of the best things that we can do, because other people, they also have brains. They also can make decisions. When I wasn't around, somehow other people started making decisions for me, which was amazing. From that time, I remember I get rid of all the free phones. I only have 1 phone and I barely started answering that phone. You have to be master of your schedule rather than schedule being master of you. And I remember from that time, my construction business was running like a proper system. I started working on other things.
One of those other things Jake started working on was a small nonprofit organization.
It was basically two volunteers, me and my other business partner. And we started growing. It was like a side hustle for me, but that small side hustle started to grow rapidly. In the next about 3 or 4 years, went from two volunteers to 600 volunteers.
Once again, Jake successfully scaled another business in record time. But this time, it got the attention of someone he didn't expect.
I remember one day, and I was really angry. And I went home and I opened a letter, and that was a letter from the Queen. Oh, that's a little bit of a surprise. But when you do good things will come back to you. There was a really good lesson that I've got from running a non-profit organization. The funny thing is, because it's a non-profit, we didn't make any money from it. We've been investing lots of time in that business. But until today, I still have such amazing contact. People still ask me like, hey, could you connect me with this person? And I always say like, well, you can always start your own non-profit organization, running it for about 7 years, working about 18, 20 hours a day. And you can have any contacts you want in the entire world, But you just have to work really, really hard. It's not that difficult.
You would think that Jake's drive and thirst for business success would have been satisfied and quenched considering his accomplishments with the construction business and the nonprofit organization. But it wasn't. In fact, Jake started yet another business.
I love marketing. I love working on brands. I love sales. And I understood that everything around running any business is up to lead generation. If you don't generate leads, you're not going to run a business. And it doesn't matter what business it is. If it's a construction business, if it's even a non-profit organization, we call them non-profit, but every non-profit organization actually has to make profits. Otherwise, it's not going to survive. So I started another side project or side hustle. I started a small marketing agency with Google Ads. And I remember it was funny because I was talking to a friend of mine who was running a very fairly big business also here in London. And he'd been asking me for months, maybe even for years, to help him with his marketing, especially Google Ads. And I said, like, I don't have the time. I'm very busy running construction business. I'm extremely busy running non-profit organization. And now you want me to do your Google Ads? I don't have time for that. And then he's like, yeah, but I pay you this. And I was like, oh, that's a significant amount of money. That would be interesting, I was like, and then I said like, okay, listen, even if I say yes, tell me why me? What is it about me that you want me to run your Google ad? And then he said those magical words.
I trust you because every single time you come to our office, you tell us so many great things, so many great golden nuggets. You have so much energy. You should start your own agency.
Jake's clearly not one to step away from an opportunity, especially one that includes work he enjoys at an attractive pay rate. So he started his third business.
It was a very small agency. Basically, I had my first client. And the next day I was like, well, if I have one client, obviously I need some people to work for me, right? I'm not going to do everything myself, because coming back to what Patrick told me so many years ago, create systems, don't create yourself a job. And I didn't want to create myself a job. As much as I love creating campaigns and actually running Google Ads, it's not something that I can do on an everyday basis, because it takes lots of time. So obviously I need to hire some people, and when you hire people, you need to pay them. And I was like, okay, having one client is not enough. So what I did is I took my phone, and for about 2 days, from morning till evening, I was calling anyone that I was thinking that like he might or she might be a good customer for my marketing agency. And after 2 days of calling people around, I closed either 8 or 9 customers. So in about 3 days' time, I had a proper full-time digital marketing agency. What I love about marketing agencies or businesses like this, it's a subscription-based business that obviously you have to do a really good job. But if everything is fine, no one is even calling you. Nobody is asking, hey, what's going on, because the leads are coming in.
As refreshing as it was to not have clients constantly calling and inquiring about things, it was also a bit jarring for Jake. So much so that one day he realized he had not heard from his friend/first client, the one who originally asked for his help with Google Ads.
I called him after about 3 or 4 months and I said, what's going on? Are we doing a bad job?
No, kind of the opposite. Everything's so good. The customers are calling, the business is growing, everything's running so smoothly. We're just so busy running the business, I don't have the time to talk to you.
I was like, well, at least you could call and say thank you, you know? Another funny thing is, I remember after about 2 years, having amazing Google Ads campaign is 50% of the success. Another thing is having a really good website and working on CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. It's an ongoing process of making your website better. It's something like that in Japanese called Kaizen. Kaizen is basically a philosophy when we're getting better every day, every week, every month, constantly, all the time. And that's what I was explaining to first client.
Okay, I must add a correction to what Jake said. Being that I have a background in Lean Six Sigma, which is a quality framework for process improvement that's rooted in Japanese management philosophies, I know that Kaizen really means rapid transformation, not continuous improvement as it's often mistakenly translated. Nevertheless, Jake is right about operating a business in the spirit of continuous improvement.
And after about 2.5 years of running his campaigns, he asked me,
"Oh, Jake, we've been doing business for such a long time. We've been friends for such a long time. Maybe you could give me a discount?"
And then I paused for a moment and I was like, listen, how about you pay me more because we're friends and we've been doing a business for such a long time, and I help you grow your business, because it works both ways. I can give you this discount, but at the same time, why wouldn't you pay me more? We basically doubled your business. Mm-hmm. And he paused for a second and he said,
"You're 100% right. I'll pay you double from now."
And he did.
How's that for confidence? When I prepared for this interview, I knew that Jake also has a fourth business. He'll tell us about that business, plus fill us in on some juicy details he's left out so far. Things like, how did he meet his mentor, Patrick? How did he build a team? And how on earth does he manage 4 businesses at the same time? You'll discover that and more after the break.
Are you a certified project management professional? Imagine earning PDUs while you're on the go. The Scale Tales podcast makes it easy to stay on track with your certification. Listen while you walk, drive, exercise, or even fly. No need to watch anything. Just sign up, listen, and take a quick quiz. In 3 easy steps, we'll submit your credits directly to PMI. It's that simple. No gimmicks, no games, just valuable, accessible content that will boost your performance as a project manager. Visit scaleTalesPodcast.com today and start earning your credits wherever you are.
Jake Smolarek is a serial entrepreneur full of energy, passion, and enthusiasm. These characteristics, along with his guerrilla marketing techniques, contribute to his success in not just 1, but 4 businesses that are operating at the same time. Before the break, we learned how Jake started his entrepreneurial journey with a construction business, a multi-million-pound business. Before the break, he mentioned a conversation he had with his friend. That friend that asked if Jake would consider lowering his prices for digital marketing services. Jake shocked him by offering to increase his price. Once he explained why, It made me wonder if that conversation is what led him to start his coaching business. Let's find out. Here's Jake.
The coaching business started when we started the non-profit organization. I always had people coming to me for advice. Even when I was like very young, like 23, 24, 25, already running my own business. And I was like, you are 65, I'm 25. It should be the other way around, right? And so I started attracting people asking for advice. It was so natural to me, I don't know why. I still can't explain it. As human beings, we love progress. Progress is the only thing that actually makes us happy in life. If we don't make progress, we are unhappy. If we make progress, we are very happy. But there's a big but. If we do not measure that progress and we don't actually see that we make progress, we might end up being very miserable. And now, as a business coach, marketing coach, entrepreneur coach, I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs, they are very successful, they making loads of progress, but because they never measure that progress, they think they're not actually successful. I think it was Mr. Drucker who said, what get measured gets done, because we need to see that progress. So also there's a very good saying that from time to time we should stop and smell the roses, right? It doesn't mean that we have to stop and not do anything for 2 years in a row, but at the same time it's good to stop at least from time to time and let's say do that step backwards so you can do another 3 steps forwards.
As fascinating as Jake's scale tales are, I know how important the details are too. So I decided to start asking him some clarifying questions, starting with, why did he move from Poland? And how did he really meet Patrick, the guy who ultimately became his mentor when he first moved to London?
I wanted something more. Don't take me wrong, Poland is a beautiful, amazing place today. But 20 years ago, it wasn't so great. It was good. It was good enough, but it wasn't good enough for me. I wanted something more. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to do more. I had massive dreams, big dreams. I didn't know how to achieve them at the time. I just knew that, like, yeah, London, that's where the money is. That's where the world is, right? London was a capital of the world at that time. Well, let's say there are 2 capitals, New York and London. London was a little bit, it wasn't as far as New York, but I was so desperate to find someone who is already successful and rich. So I was looking for those people everywhere, asking people at the street, which was very difficult for me because I'm a proper introvert. And I hear no all the time. No, no, no. And we have this portal Gumtree, which was very big at the time in the UK, in London. It's just like one of those websites that you can buy everything, sell everything, advertise your business, like Craigslist in the US. And one day I found this ads that the millionaire is looking for a wife, and I was like, okay, that's interesting, right? It was written in such a amazing language. It wasn't average. It was something special about it. The level of the words he was using and how he was saying, you don't have to be just pretty, but it has to be this and this and this. And I was like, it, I'll send him an email, right? Hey, Patrick, my name is Jake, and I'm a young aspiring entrepreneur. And by the way, I'm not looking for a husband, and I'm not a wife material. So I'm just looking for a mentor, and blah, 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 blah. And I am not a wife material, and I'm not looking for, and I repeat that at least 7 times in that email. He replied to my message something like, call me tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is the number. Come and meet me at this place, coffee house, or this, be sharp. And I was like, okay, that's very to the point, right? And this is how it started, and he was laughing. And after our first meeting, like when all the tension went away, he said that,
your English was so funny.
I was young, but I was an immigrant, which I'm still am.
Jake's email to Patrick was funny and bold, but it still doesn't answer an important question. How did Jake, as a young immigrant with no construction background, manage to land a client within 2 weeks of starting a construction business? If he couldn't do the work himself, how did he manage to solicit contractors who could do the work?
To be honest with you, it's a mystery to me even to this day. I have no idea how I convinced, but I'll tell you that when I was looking for contractors, I was using Gumtree and I posted those ads saying established construction company is looking for contractors to do this amazing work, blah, 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 blah. I was very good at marketing at the very beginning. The response was massive. Loads of people, message me, call me, email me. And then I remember I was sitting at many Starbucks for the next few days. And from morning till evening, I was meeting with different contractors, having notepads, and I was giving them stars from 1 to 5 stars, saying like, oh, this guy was drunk, during the meeting and was smelling really badly. And oh, this guy was 4.5 stars. He was really good. His knowledge was very good. And this guy have a massive team, and this guy have a team of 2, and this guy have a team of 5. And at the same time, I was talking to anyone I could, trying to find my first customer. Hey, do you need a construction company? No. Okay, thank you. Do you need a construction company? No. Okay. Or do you need a construction company? Basically, I was using any tool I could, any websites, and somehow I found this first customer. I think it was via Gumtree as well. The copy that I used for my ad to find clients, it wasn't me. It was Patrick who told me to put bullet points. You have to say that you have 35 years of experience. And I was like, yeah, I'm 20 years old. I'm sure they're going to believe that, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's marketing. If you find 7 construction people and all together, if they have 35 years of experience, that's 35 years of experience. And you put in this on the business card. Like, well, I never thought about it this way, right? Technically, that's true.
And just as Patrick's ad copy lured or prompted Jake to reach out to him for mentorship, so did Jake's ad copy lure the contractors and other key team members he needed for future projects.
I was lucky enough that I found a really good people from the very beginning. Don't take me wrong, I knew very little about constructions. They have to correct often. We had loads of funny stories, and somehow people, they like that good energy around us. Eventually, when I had my first business partner and then second business partner, I was the guy talking to clients, and they were basically taking care of all the real work. I was a salesperson. Once I sold, I gave it to my business partner, and they did the work itself. They were happy because they were not salespeople. Construction people, more often than not, they're not salespeople. They're not marketing people. Sometimes they ask me like, how do you do that? How do you sell so well? And I said, there's a little secret. You see, most people, they sell houses and I sell homes. And that's a massive difference, because people, they don't care about houses. My secret was, okay, the guy is paying, but the lady, she's making all the decisions. I knew that. I knew how to talk and who to talk to. Like, yeah, you, Henry, you just give us the money. You go for a walk. And then I knew how to talk to those women. It's just like, listen, this is going to be a kitchen area. Do you like to cook? Remember, I was working at a Michelin star restaurant, right? And I was using that skills. Listen, you're cooking your favorite meal for the whole family. You're looking outside that window. You're seeing that lovely cherry tree, springtime, all those flowers. Imagine that. And she was convinced straight away because I was selling homes, not a house, right? A normal builder would come in and say, oh, we're going to put a steel beam here. We're going to build a wall here. And no. That's not how you talk to those customers. And probably that's why I was a little bit more successful than other construction businesses from day one, because I understood how to communicate. Funny enough, even when English was my second language.
Jake makes an interesting point. It seems his ability to communicate and connect with potential customers had less to do with the language itself, but more to do with emotional appeal. Understanding what motivates people. It makes sense that he reached success so quickly with his first business. Remember, Jake once told his business partner that they should aim for the £1 million mark. Well, did they reach it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Fairly quickly. Oh yeah, it took us about year and a half.
Wow. Jake has shared some of his scaling playbook, most of which we'll recap toward the end of this episode. But before we do that, there's one more critical question we need answered to round out this playbook. How did Jake systematize his business?
We only have 24 hours a day. So one of the things to systemize is to delegate things to people and to make sure that they will do things for you. Another thing, creating systems. I'm in marketing. So for example, search engine optimization, it's a system for me that works for me 24/7. When I sleep, people can still find my websites, find my different businesses, my coaching business, my marketing business, whatever it is. Google Ads, another very good example. It's a system that, if it's done properly, works 24 hours a day for us. Every week, every month, every year, non-stop. It's a simple system that, well, not very simple, but you have to know what you're doing, that can generate leads for you 24/7, basically. There's a beautiful book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, and he's explaining that the beauty of systems very, very well. I read thousands of books, and this book is probably at my top 5. I could probably share another 15 books here. I'll share 2 things. So I shared another book which is called Purple Cow by Seth Godin, and
Yes.
this philosophy I've been using my entire life. Well, my entire life in business, but even entire life, because I always stand out somehow. And you have to stand out, right? If you're driving your car in the countryside and you see loads of cows, they will look exactly the same. But suddenly, if you see that purple cow, that one cow grab all your attention, 100% of all your attention. And in this crowded world that we live at the moment, we need to stand out. And this is what I do with my coaching. I help entrepreneurs, business owners to stand out, because more often than not, those business owners, they treat their businesses like their babies. They think they're like, oh my God, my business is so special. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's like a cow among any other cows. Like you one business or business owner, or with your business among 10,000, if not hundreds of thousands different businesses, exactly the same, but somehow you have to stand out. And this is what I teach. When people come to me, we will turn everything around, and somehow we basically 3x, 5x, 10x, sometimes even 25x their businesses, by simply just to stand out.
Standing out, showing up. These are just some of the lessons learned from Jake as he shared how he scaled his construction business and ultimately 3 other businesses. Here's a recap of some other lessons learned. Number 1, feedback instead of failure. This simple change in words has the power to change your mindset and can give you the mental clarity to triumph over dire situations around. Number 2, delegate to subject matter experts. The best way to do this is to create systems that are well defined and documented so that others can know how to do the work. 3, partnerships can help tremendously in balancing your skill set. Seek partners who are equally as driven as you, but also possess skills that complement yours. Number 4, hard work pays off. Although Jake's scale happened rapidly, don't be fooled. He earned his worth. He put in the hard work, and there weren't any shortcuts. Number 5, joining, leading, or volunteering in a nonprofit organization is a great way to expand your network and potential talent pool. 6, what gets measured gets done. Metrics are one way to track or measure things that need to get done and the outcome of it. Some things to measure that Jake mentioned include lead generation and CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. Number 7, Use KPIs to report progress to your team. Remember what Jake said, progress makes us happy. Number 8, celebrate successes. Now that is something we recommend in a Kaizen event. Which leads us to lesson number 9. Kaizen is about rapid transformation, but continuous improvement is about steady updates for operational excellence. Number 10, there is a list of steps that summarize Jake's repeated success that you can apply to managing your business or project. It goes like this. Part A, listen to people and find out what they want. B, find more people who want it. C, build a business around it. D, sell the heck out of it. And E, work hard, build a team, build systems, delegate, repeat. Step number 11, speak up and show up for what you want. Number 12, there is power in relocating, especially when you feel that the place where you currently are is stifling your growth. And finally, number 13, as you staff your team or project, consider using a 5-star rating system. A special thank you again to Jake Smolarek for sharing his Scale Tale with us. Visit scaleTalesPodcast.com to learn how to contact or connect with Jake, as well as access links to those books he recommended. scaleTalesPodcast.com. If you are a PMP interested in earning a PDU for listening to this episode, then once you're on the website, click the button that says Get CEUs/PDUs credits. Sign up for a monthly membership, and we'll make sure we submit your earned credit to PMI. Thank you for listening. If you learned something valuable from this episode, please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show so that you don't miss it.